Hi all. Right now we're going to talk about how to skim a text. And skimming and scanning are two different ideas. So the first one we're going to talk about is skimming. When you want to read something quickly to get a general idea of what is contained in that text. So here, this graphic organizer tells you some things that you need to do in order to skim a text. For one, read the table of contents of the text. So you have a general idea of how it's set up. Even if you're just reading one section, at least if you look at the table of contents, maybe the chapter titles, if it's a textbook, the section titles, so that you have an idea of what it is you're going to be reading about. So in this text, this is a world history text. Part one is the ancient world, so it tells me dates, which is extremely important because if I click on part one, I know the dates in which I'm going to be reading about. Part two, early civilizations and empires, and so on and so forth. From there, read the opening and closing sentences of paragraphs. Okay, I would actually first read these big headers right here. So these items right here. So this is chapter 1, the rise of civilization. So I know this is when civilization is beginning. So this first title, ancient hominids, human ancestors. The handyman. So I know this is probably handymen during when it was just very prehistoric. Homo erectus and the Neanderthals. We all know what Neanderthals are, right? So we know we're going to be learning about the cavemen in this portion. And then I'm going to read the opening and closing sentences of paragraphs. So let's see. In 1974, 15 years after Mary Leakey's discovery, another alert archaeologist was working in a parched portion of Ethiopia in Eastern Africa. Okay, so we know kind of where this is taking place. From the shape of Lucy's leg bones and pelvis, investigators could determine that she walked on 2 legs. So we're going to be learning about creatures that walk on 2 legs. Scientists are not sure if Afarensis or some other species gave rise to a new group of hominids with a bigger brain, a quicker gait, and agile hands. We could use annotation to kind of write this up, try to figure out what is being said. What about the handyman? An early species of Homo lived near a salty lake in what is today an African desert. Ooh, that goes along with what we learned in this area. One of these hominids died beside that giant lake about 2 million years ago and was unearthed in the early 1970s by Richard Leakey, Mary and Louis Leakey's son. Oh, that goes right here. Let's look at Homo erectus. Scientists have identified another group that lived after Homo balicis called Homo erectus, which means upright man. Ooh, we're learning more about somebody who walks on 2 legs. What about the Neanderthals? Neanderthals, named for the Neander Valley in Germany, where their fossil remains were discovered in 1856, so that's before this, flourished in Europe for about 200,000 years. So we're moving from Africa to learning more about Europe. Okay, so that, I mean, skimming that gives us a little understanding of the fact that we're learning about people who lived during a long time ago. Okay. So we read the headings and subheadings. This is a heading, this is a subheading. Look at the illustrations. So if you look here, it's a man looking at skull. We can assume, we can make an inference that this is probably the skull of either a Neanderthal or anything discussed here. It says a modern day paleontologist performs a CT scan to learn more about a Neanderthal skull. And then here we can see this and we can read the the features underneath this graphic, fossil footprints found in East Africa indicate that a human-like primate walked there more than 3 million years ago. So this would go along with this. This would go along with Neanderthals. So going further, skim if you are previewing a book for the selection, skim if you are rereading some pages, and you skim when looking through a newspaper or magazine to find what it is you actually want to read. If you're trying to answer questions in a text, skimming, looking at headers, will help you to know exactly where to find the information so you don't have to read the entire thing to find the answer.